TUC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TUC News, first with breaking news. Revived and re-engineered, that's the new reality in Nasarawa State under the leadership of Governor Abdullahi Sule, who is repositioning the state for greatness and empowering lives with the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy. From education to agriculture and infrastructure, Engineer Abdullahi Sule is exceeding expectations with his clear-cut Nasarawa agenda. Find out more on Nasarawa Focus Mondays. At TUC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TUC News, first with breaking news.
Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. And my guest this morning is Libras, Mr. Shoma. Well, I said Libras or Shoma. Now, Mr.
He's the same thing. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Libras is a lawyer and, you know, in fact, I don't know, he's probably specialized in labor law, but he keeps an eye on the labor scene, and that's where we intend to sort of be today. Libras, between NLC and TUC, there seems to be some sort of, well, let's just state it the way it was, the way it is. They were going to picket at the Corporate Affairs Commission, but now they seem to have resolved their differences. What's all that about?
First and foremost, the trade unions use picketing as a tool to ensure compliance with their rules, especially if in some cases where welfare of their members is concerned, dues and deductions also are not remitted as at when due. But one would have expected that when carrying out such, you know, picketing, that there should be, you know, harmony between both unions. A situation where you have the junior workers and then the senior workers not agreeing, you know, on the need to picket, and then it means that there's need to put the house in order first and foremost, because at the end of the day, the aim and objective of ensuring compliance would have been defeated. Because mind you, even inside the corporate affairs also, they have union members that relates, that's like act as a bridge between the management and then other labor members, labor unions. And so one would have expected at that point that, you know, there should be, rather than the public disgrace that you see, there should have been, you know, a synergy to harmonize all the differences, you know, between the senior members, the union members within CAC, and then, you know, the labor organization. Okay,
well, thank you for that overview. In fact, our Joke Adisa in Abuja is also standing by. Well, I'm not sure if she's standing by, but she has a package. Let's take that.
This scenario played out on the first day of a 72-hour picketing by the NLC of the Corporate Affairs Commission office in Abuja on Wednesday. A member of one of the two leading labor centers in the country caught spraying petrol on the vehicles of protesters, and there was turmoil. Workers from the two labor unions at the CAC also went for each other's throats at the protest, pointing accusing fingers at one another. While one union accused the management of CAC of unfair labor practices, the other exonerated the leadership of the commission from any wrongdoing. Hours after the drama, the authorities of the CAC have called for a meeting, but organized labor is more concerned about putting its house in order before honoring the invitation. It has necessitated the suspension of the picketing exercise as the two parent bodies sit round the table to discuss.
The law also said
NLC president says both unions will continue to coexist in the commission.
We believe that the centrality of every issue should be the welfare and well-being of every worker than the issue of saying we are fighting or divided. No. The centrality, which every union knows, is the fact that we need to unite to actually defend our workers and fight for workers' rights.
He says the core values of unions, which revolve around solidarity, will continue to be respected.
For us to understand what are the issues, those issues prevalent in that place, how do we confront the essence of any union is to defend the workers' right. Nothing outside that. And that is essentially what we are going to do. Any issue that affects OPTA member will affect also SASCO member. The law established that they can coexist to protect the right of the workers of that organization. Just as in many organizations, you have unions coexisting. And when issues come up, they put their forces together to confront the common issue.
The two labor centers say they are determined more than ever before to fight a common cause that will uplift Nigerian workers. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, our thanks to Joke Adisa. And we also have standing by remotely Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi. Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi is the General Secretary, Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporations and Government-Owned Companies. It's a long one. Yeah. In fact, if you wanted the acronym, SSASCGOC. Let me just say that again. General Secretary, Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporations and Government-Owned Companies. Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Olorunfemi.
Good morning, Brian.
Thank you very much. So really, you are probably best placed to give us the situation now. Where are we now in terms of the resolution of the issue, if one can put it like that, between NLC and TUC?
Yeah, thank you very much. As you know, Nigeria is governed by rule of law. And the trade unions are not exception. What happened day before yesterday is a case of communication gap to the management to call for a meeting of all the stakeholders with a view to trashing all these issues. If they are true, they will be brought to the fore. We'll look at them. We can't be talking on these matters from the air. We can't be beating the air. We have to sit down at the round table, look at issues, look at petitions, if there are any, and deal with them accordingly, in line with the laws of the land.
Okay, so that's about the much you want to say on that, because it is scheduled for a much more formal discussion.
Very well, very well.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi, for coming on this morning, at least giving us a sense of exactly where we are and those issues that you refuse to comment on for probably the good reason that they're scheduled for a much more formal discussion. But one moment, please.
That's the area I want to go to. These are issues that are already in the public domain. These are issues that the staff has raised. The management of corporate affairs also had said issues of transfer, that they are at liberty to transfer anybody to anywhere. But yes, while you are at liberty to transfer any staff to anywhere by virtue of the rules, but also the issues of victimization. People
which have to be proved.
Which they have admitted that they have a right to transfer anybody.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So having admitted that you have a right to transfer anybody,
it could have been vindictive.
Yes. So the trade union organizations are saying that most of these people that were transferred to these remote areas, they are people that have complained. So these are not issues you can say you don't want to talk about. It is even good for people to know so that they can follow up these issues. Being a secretary of the Senior Staff Association, so that people can follow up with this issue. So eventually, when you discuss and resolve, people will now say, yes, you itemize the issues, and then people will also follow up on the ones that have been resolved.
Okay.
But not talking about them, for me, it also will encourage breach of trust, because those of us that are following these issues and you say you don't want to talk about them until you are at the meeting, and then these issues will be raised at the meetings, and then you come and say we have resolved. Which issues were resolved, nobody's aware, nobody knows, until next time you hear that the same trade union and labor organizations are picketing the same organizations.
Okay, Dr. Olorunfemi, I was just about thanking you, but I don't know if you've been persuaded to add a couple more words on the matter in the light of that analysis, that it's already in the public domain anyway, and it can further help public understanding of the issue.
And trust.
As well as trust. Okay, we have an issue of connection. We're trying to reconnect with Dr. Olorunfemi. Okay. Well, I understand Dr. Olorunfemi is back there. I don't know if you heard the bulk of what Libros said. If you heard what Libros said, I was wondering if you were persuaded to add a bit more, because as he put it, these are already issues in the public sphere anyway, and it could only, instead of confusing the public as to what exactly is being discussed, it could only help if, you're sort of forthcoming with the public to build trust, among other things.
Yeah, see, I didn't actually really heard him, but as per the issue being in the public domain, the truth is this: what is in the public domain may not be the actual thing that is happening until, and it could be true, it may not be true. That is why I told you earlier that we have the problem of communication gap. And as a senior staff union, listen is off. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. As a senior staff union, we don't subject our action based on assumption. We must be able to see, the facts on ground. Then we talk to the fact. We look at the fact and the evidence, then we prefer solution. As it is, I don't have before me any case of a married woman that have been posted on punitive ground. Okay. I don't have such report with me.
Okay. But
I do know that there are women in different locations in the 36 states of the Federation where Corporate Affairs Commission has workers. But I'm not aware in terms of report that, there is a particular woman married, and because of one ill feeling or the other, she has been posted out of to displace her, to destroy her marriage. I'm not aware of that yet, and that is why we say, okay, let's sit, let's look at the issue, bring this matter before us, we trash it. Okay. We are not going to support punitive posting or deployment. Any deployment that is punitive shall be resisted. Even as we must. Even as know the truth. Even as CSE said, yeah. Are we speaking? Are we together? We must know the truth about the situation. Yes. And we must. Nobody should attempt to play to the gallery on this matter.
Between TUC and NLC.
Quickly, please. I can't hear him.
Okay. Well, even if. Can you hear me, Dr. Olorunfemi? Well, there are challenges, but I think you said enough, because you've explained your reticence that you think it is better to talk about this whole matter along the schedule, in the scheduled site of meeting. He's not going to add any more.
No, I know. I agree.
I agree. We can just thank him and let him go, and then continue our conversation in here. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi, General Secretary, Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporations and Government-Owned Companies.
I agree. But for me, these are not issues that were raised by just any staffs. These are issues that were raised by the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Waba. And so he said that he met with him after the first letter was written. I expected that being the secretary of, anyway, he's representing the senior staffs.
Yes.
And so representing the senior staff, definitely he would talk like from the management point of view. But what I'm saying is the crisis, the bulk of this crisis were amongst those in Ultra, those are the junior staffs. And so when they complained, the allegations was that one, when they complained about their promotion allowances, so a lot of them were transferred to punish them. Secondly, some of them that protested to join, to be members of union, thugs were deployed and to unleash terror on them. These are not issues that you would say you don't know whether thugs were deployed or thugs were not deployed. And then also, allegations of corruption were raised copiously in these letters, almost the 6 letters. And so...
And none of them was responded to.
And none of them was responded to. And the secretary of the organization says, these are issues, he doesn't want to talk about them because there are no proof, or that you need further proof. Meanwhile, you said that you met with the president of the labor organization and you resolved most of these issues you discussed. So what did you discuss in resolution of this matter? And then what are you discussing further? Because the CSC also had issued a statement denying most of these allegations, even though they admitted that even in the employment letter, it stated clearly there that they had reserved a right to post you anywhere. But this posting, was it on punitive grounds? These people that have been posted. Which
evidently they will be denying.
Exactly.
So now, Ibrahim in Kaduna, thank you very much for holding on. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Good morning, Uncle.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. It's been a while now. Yesterday I tried, but it wasn't connected.
Okay.
You see, the issue of this labor union and all those unions, my own concern mostly is on the non-accredited junior staff and senior staff. So all of them have all joined to form the NLC at a body in the national level. Please, before any issue like this come on, in order to avoid some mistakes that they normally do and some of their heads we use as a tool, we use one of them to fight the other. So these are the genesis. At least your guest there is an expert in that field and he has spoken well. And the other man that speaks from the other side, yes. But we know all these issues are in the public domain. We know it. Please, I just like if they can resolve this thing amicably so that they will fight one cause, just one cause. That cause is what? Workers' welfare, which most of us belong to. In order to build a look, they say, it is not afford to have 2 houses. Let us have the one hand and speak with one voice. It's very, very good for us, we workers.
It's impossible.
And the difference between senior staff and junior staff, please, they should try to harmonize that.
Okay.
So that we will have a way forward in our dealing.
Okay.
So finally, please.
Yes.
I want this your guest there to use this forum to advise most unions, him as a lawyer, to know the understanding, understand each other, understand the way and scale and weigh the weight of anything before they should tear apart.
Okay.
Thank you very much to hear my calls back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. I don't think the lawyers want people to understand each other.
No.
At that stage, there's very little more for lawyers to do.
No, we really do. There was a suggestion he made.
If you don't understand each other, we carry ourselves before a judge, and these visits have to be paid for.
But it is always advisable that
I was just joking.
I know. Let them understand the issues. There's a germane point he raised, which is a practical impossibility, that there should be that the senior staffs and junior staff should form one umbrella body. The TUCs are amongst the senior staffs, while the labor organizations are the junior staffs. There is no way a level 14, level 16 would want to sit down with a level 4, a level 7 in the same umbrella body. So the crisis most times is the fact that the junior workers are complaining, and then you have the senior workers in that same organization, the labor leaders in that same organization, who some of them are management level. always insisting that the complaints are not germane. And so when they fail, because also what had led to this crisis in CSC is failure of the SACO in CSC. Because if they've been able to manage the crisis of the junior staff, ULTRA, there was no way Nigerian Labour Congress would have come to picket that organization. Mind you, at the opening I said the first point of call would have been for the internal labor organizations to manage this crisis. And then it is when they are not able to manage it, they can now refer it to the umbrella body. But when the junior staffs, the senior staff consistently disagree with the issues raised by the junior staff in line with the management position, there's bound to be this crisis always. So irrespective of personal interest and whether you want to aspire to be, top-ranking management staff tomorrow, as a union member, first and foremost, see from the point of view of the union and then find a way to bridge, the conversation, bridge the understanding, so that all of this, we are going to discuss it later, we'll take it further from there. There will be no need for it. You would discuss it at the beginning, and then there won't be any need for the umbrella body to come say they want to picket the organization. Because picketing the organization, man hour is lost, workers are stopped from, going to work. Even people that are lawyers are coming to transact business at the corporate affairs, for that day, nothing is going to happen. And then funds also will be lost as a result of non-transaction of businesses.
Anat from Abuja, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing what is happening now on the news now. Okay.
I don't know what he was talking about because, but then, I think, thank you very much, Libros. You've explained this. We're going to take a break now, and then when we come back, stay with us, please. When we come back, we'll look at another aspect of, for instance, the headline just caught our attention. Buhari actually insists on military action against insecurity. We'll look at this when we come back. Stay with us, please.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with...
Okay, welcome back. And the distressing news that up to 300 girls, that's the figure we're working with, but it's a pretty fluid situation. It might vary from that, but the figure we're working with now is that 300 girls in Zamfara, Jangebe is the community, secondary school girls have indeed been abducted. So, Zamfara, I was just bouncing that off the president, saying that, you know what, military action against insecurity is going to be needed. Now, if this is not insecurity, I don't know what is.
Exactly, like I would say if this is not insecurity, then tear your dictionary. You see, at the meeting yesterday, where the president was represented by the chief of staff, he insisted that while calling on Nigerians to stop ethnic profiling of criminals and to label them as criminals, he insisted that the government was going to deal decisively with insecurity, with bandits, and that they were not going to negotiate with bandits, and also call on the service chiefs to come up with new strategies to deal with this, while insisting that they are providing infrastructures to address all of this. And then, on the flip side, Sheikh Gumi had said, look, these people went into banditry because of failure of the society, and so being products of leadership failure, so you should grant them blanket amnesty because you have failed them. While you are advocating for amnesty for them, they are busy kidnapping consistently. You walk into a school, you just pack children like chickens, and then you take them away to an unknown destination. What gradually we are facing is a total collapse of security up north. Also, permit me, in this same Zamfara, where it is a notorious fact that, illegal gold mining, it's, going on, despite government effort at encouraging artisan mining, licensing artisan mining. We have a lot of Chinese foreigners in these places also who are legally and illegally mining. You never hear of them. You never hear that they have been kidnapped or, you know. I also would want government to explore that angle because foreigners can come in here, encourage and arm bandits to create crisis so that, you know, they will consistently explore and feather their nest. Because the question you would ask, a man is complaining that he's been is disappointed, he's been driven from his farmland, and so he cannot farm. But yet he has money to buy expensive weapons. He has money to buy vehicles to kidnap people. Those money, if you deploy them to proper use, to farming or starting other businesses, you would go a long way in making profit. But because kidnapping for ransom, at every point government will tell you we didn't pay anything, but yet you hear in the media that money exchange hands. And then when government begin to moot the idea, like the governor of Zamfara is also mooting that not all bandits are criminals. When government begin to moot the idea of compensating criminality, what you are telling people who have the capacity to go into crime is that it pays to be a criminal. Yeah. So when you do that, it also shows that you do not have the required apparatus to either protect the people or to deal with this criminality. So in the face of all of this, I think, as charged by the president, the chief of staff, the service chiefs, and the state governors, in collaboration with the police, should come up with a new strategy, because these people are not from Mars. They are also not hiding these people in. Let me give you an instance.
One second, please, because we also have on the phone Group Captain retired Sadiq Garba Shehu, who's a security consultant. And good morning, Group Captain.
Good morning.
Okay, Yori Folani in studio here. Among the things that my guest has said is that there is the appearance of a slowly disintegrating security in the northern part of the country. Give me your comment on that, your impressions on that, because if 300 girls in Jangebe can be picked up almost, well, it looks effortless because there wasn't the deed had been done before we heard about it. Would you say that security is in serious peril in the northern part of the country?
Well, it's a very sad reality, but like we always say, a criminal will look to anything that with little effort would give him a lot of returns. School children, it has become evident, is the target of choice for this criminal. Certainly, the government will never have enough security to put all over the state. So that is why we continue to advocate is looking at form of government or form of community approach to safeguarding our schools, while we put our most valuable assets, that's our children. Apart from calls to government to provide security, the safety declaration and subsequent security plans that have been developed on that safety declaration, it shows there is a role in which the community where the school is located can do. There are roles that the school owners can do. There are roles that school management can do. I will not assure you that if all these people put together do what they are supposed to do, kidnapping will stop. But secondly, it will put a deterrent on these people to easily walk into school and carry these children away, like chicken, like your last speaker said. However, we are always lucky that even the criminals themselves are not that sophisticated. Because honestly, the number we are hearing now, if actually that is the number they are going to be carrying, that they are carried away, it makes the work of tracking them or stopping them a bit easier. That is the only consolation I have in this.
Because of the high number, moving around that kind of a number, 300 girls, anyhow you're moving them, it does become a lot more difficult to conceal yourself, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So, of course, a large body from the air is very easy to pick. They are going to look for food in the neighboring villages there to pick those children, because for them, they don't want the girls to die. Okay. Because the kidnapper, you have to keep it like this alive.
Let my guest come in on that. Libros.
You see, we have the group captain had said the criminals are not that sophisticated. That's why they're taking large numbers. But I would disagree, because the criminals have seen that the larger the number, the bigger the ransom, because the state has shown consistently that they are not capable, no matter how large the number is, that they are not capable of rescuing. Remember the Chibok girls, how many were they? 200 and something. The Dapchi girls, they were about almost the same number. The boys from Katsina School, the same number. The one in Niger, almost the same number. And now 300. This phone, all you need is the number. In some cases, even the device number. Without a SIM card, it will be tracked. These people would kidnap a luxurious bus with everybody inside, trek with them for 7 hours in the bush, make calls, make contacts. They are not traced. And at the end of the day, these people will be rescued. Government will say ransom wasn't paid, but the people will say ransom were paid. In some cases, some people have even pointed accusing fingers at security operatives. So when you have all of this happening, whether the numbers is large or not, there is complicity on the part of some persons, and that is why they are so emboldened to take more numbers. Maybe, God forbid, the next one you hear will be 400 or 500, depending on, you know, how flat-footed we are. I know security is a serious business. The group captain also said something that is very germane also. Security should be everybody's business, but how well have we empowered everybody for security to be their business? We have not. A situation where we still want to secure the entire country from one center, Abuja. It's not possible. A situation where if something happened in Niger, police will deploy 300 riot squad police to Niger. Now that is happening in Zamfara, where are you going to deploy from? And then the moment you deploy from one state, you leave that state, you know, without adequate police. Mind you, the number is still very, very low. So we need to look at this broadly, holistically, and then ensure that we have the adequate gadgets to man security. These days, security is not just about search, stop and search. People are using drones. Look at the American farmer that was kidnapped from Niger and, you know, ferried into Nigeria. At the end of the day, the Americans came. We can say collaboration with our Nigerian army. What did they do differently? Because there was a phone call, they were able to track the place where that call was made and rescued one person. So we can deploy the same equipment. We don't need to begin to now make this thing look as if
it's rocket science.
It's rocket science.
Group Captain, would you like to respond to those points that we are not entirely lacking in skills in our whole security apparatus? We're not entirely lacking in skills. Yet, as Liberals points out, again and again they catch us flat-footed. I suppose this puts paid to the argument about internal security is the job of the police. The police simply can't they can't relate here. But responding to the other point about are we deploying any of those skills at all? Because they seem to be dictating the whole pace of this, you know, anomaly. That is the kidnappers.
Well, my friend that is there with you at the studio, I will agree with him on some aspects, even though I will not agree on others. Let me start with why I agree with you. It is a fact, and we have said it constantly, even at the size, large expanse of land in Nigeria, given the amount of unfortified areas in the land, we really don't have enough policemen. We don't have enough military people. We don't even have enough intelligence with the size of our country and the size of our security challenges. That is a fact. Now, he spoke about rescue. As a security consultant, I would always like not to hear rescue. Because honestly, even in society that have well-trained top-security rescue units, the chances of any rescue succeeding without usually the children is always less than even 50%. So rescue, this is talking about it, is the last thing we should be talking about, not rescue actually. We will try to put more into our preventive measures, but when eventually, despite those things, they succeed in carrying the children, I don't think I would advise mounting the rescue operation in the first we can't see in them. Because I said we don't have that capacity. That is the reality. And even countries, as we have seen in Westland, in Russia, when they kidnap children, mounting a rescue operation is a very hazardous operation with very little chance of succeeding.
Okay, I want to thank you very much, Group Captain Retired Sadiq Garba Shehu, security consultant, for helping us understand this a bit better. Thank you very much, sir. So
you see, why not attacking what the group captain has said, but in one breath, he said they are not sophisticated, and that's why they are they are kidnapping large numbers. But from his last statement, it shows that they are more sophisticated. They know that when you take larger numbers, rescue operations will be very, very minimal and limited, so to avoid collateral damage. So they know what they are doing. So, and like you asked, it seems at every turn we are always caught flat-footed. Rather than being proactive, we are being reactive. And in reacting, it is always, almost impossible to get all the entire numbers back. And so, what should we be doing differently? In Italy, there was a time kidnapping for ransom was the order of the day. But they made laws. Even when you negotiate ransom, you are also an accomplice. But here, you negotiate ransom because the states can't protect you, despite the fact that that is the primary responsibility of the states. And so, when the state also, look at in the Niger Delta, some boys took up arms against the state and destroyed oil pipelines, and then the government said give them amnesty, a blanket amnesty, including kidnappers, embraced amnesty, and the kidnapping continued. But what did the state governors do? The state governors sat down and said, look, if your house is used as hideout for kidnapper, government will take it over and destroy it. In some states, they also passed death penalties on kidnappers, even though I've not seen where anyone was executed. That's also reduced some of those issues. And because the governors are primarily responsible, the local government chairman are primarily responsible, this is government that is closest to the people. But the situation, I heard the Niger State governor complaining of the federal government abandoning him, despite deployment of police to the state. And yet, he has not explained what he's doing with his security votes. So you're expecting more money from the federal government. When it doesn't come, that's abandonment. And then the money comes, ransom is paid, and, everybody goes home happy. The children are released until the next one is kidnapped. For me, we can't continue like this. And for the rest of us who think that because we're in the South, it will not affect us, it is gradually coming home. Because if this menace is not addressed timely, before you know it, even our children in boarding house also will not be safe. Because it's happening in the north does not mean it cannot get here. So every governor, it is not enough for the governor to say they want to open conversation with bandits. In Zamfara, in Katsina, if you remember, Aminu Masari, sometimes last year, opened conversation with bandits, took pictures with them, but did that stop kidnapping in Katsina? It didn't. By December, boys were kidnapped from school. So we have seen this same idea that they are mooting. That's why I want the president to match his words with action. It's not enough to say we'll deal with them decisively. Fantastic. But let there be a proactive step. Let there be a collaboration between the governors. They should sing the same tune. Not Bauchi State governors saying they have a right to carry arms. Autumn is saying if you want to carry arms, go to Bauchi. And then Zamfara is saying, look, not all bandits are criminals. Some are fallout of the lack of leadership. Yet he's a leader. He's talking as if, he's just a commoner. So when you have discordant tunes coming from the leaders, the people are helpless. So the leaders should come together, irrespective of party divide, irrespective of tribe or tongue. Once they come together, you can now win the trust of the people. And when you now talk about community policing, then people who are volunteering information would be safe to volunteer information. And then lastly, this idea of compensating criminality, granting amnesty to Boko Haram, and saying, we also have learned that some of them are informants. They have granted amnesty, they are taken to schools. Yeah, the victims, nobody is compensating them. They are in IDP camps while the killers are living in best of hotels. Aliu Dume said sometimes last year that about 47 Islamic clerics were slaughtered on the same day in Borno by these same people who are informants. So the state should not be encouraging criminality.
And you said whatever is going to be done, it has to be done in a timely manner. Because even the Sultan, just looking at the papers this morning, even the Sultan of Sokoto has said that you must act fast.
Yes.
He is aware. Just while, well, the governors probably feel that there will be much profit to their meeting together. But look, while they're doing all that talk, it's so frustrating that these guys could very well strike yet again. As we are talking.
And you know, the saddest part of it is the fact that they are not just striking on the road now. They go to a secondary school, and then, while the school is in session, and then you take away 300 girls from that school. No security. You would drive or you would trek for 7 hours.
Well, the point has
and then you make calls.
The point has been made that we can't afford to put security in all the schools.
I agree. You can't afford to put security in all the schools. But the group captain said something. There are villagers in these places. How well do these villagers trust the security operatives and the state's government to volunteer information where this, because they can't plan this thing in isolation. There must be some persons who are around these communities who have knowledge of this. How well do they trust the authority to be able to volunteer information? And we've seen a situation where also some persons who are informants were allegedly slaughtered by these same bandits.
Murdered by them.
So, murdered by them. And so when the state can't protect you, you are the mercy of bandits. And yet, the government will come and tell you, you are comparing 2015 and 2021. Let's stop comparison. Whether any territory is under the control of Boko Haram is immaterial. The fact remains that our people are being killed, our people are being kidnapped, our children are no longer safe in school. This is a region where you even want to encourage education, where we are even say encourage a nomadic education. Yet the students that are bold enough to go to school are not safe.
They're not safe.
So what you are telling them is that don't even go to school. And then tomorrow you talk about compensating criminality.
Okay, this is where we're going to have to leave it. It's most distressing, and we have to await the next, shall we say, move from government. Very, very, very frustrating.
Condemnation. They will condemn it, and then everything will be done to ensure that the boys are back alive until another one will happen.
Thank you very much, Libros Oshoma.
My pleasure.
Lawyer, Labor is giving us the labor part of him today, but thank you very much, Libros, for coming on. And indeed, our thanks go to Group Captain Retired Sadiq Garba Shehu, who also, guested on this subject from home. And indeed, our thanks to Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi in Abuja, the General Secretary of the Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporations and Government-Owned Companies. Thank you very much also to those who called. As we go, as always, anti-COVID-19 regime, do everything you can to abide by it. You got to mask up, you got to keep the distance, you got to wash hands frequently, and you've got to keep yourself away from crowds, unnecessarily being in crowds. So, have a great weekend. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. On Monday with a fresh program. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.